words that people use to describe Assemblywoman Lori Wilson include resilient, wise, and positive. It's not surprising that after only 2 years in office, Wilson has already delivered millions of dollars in much-needed revenue to the 11th Assembly District. Wilson grew up in Fresno, in a difficult household, and has not forgotten the struggles her family endured. That experience drives her to make sure to devise policies that improve the lives of all struggling families. As chair of the powerful Assembly Transportation Committee, Wilson understands that getting to jobs, schools, or accessing health care all require a first-rate transportation system. Rebuild SoCal Partnership recently met with Assemblywoman Wilson to talk about her family, her policy priorities, and her vision for improving our state. I'd like to just begin with a bit of your background so we can just kind of paint the picture of your values and what motivates you in your service in the legislature.
I grew up in Fresno, California, and my mom was a single mom, and she didn't have a lot of childcare options back then, primarily because I lived in a pretty, dysfunctional home, a lot going on, divorced parents and all that goes with that. So school was a refuge for me.
Having watched your political career, the theme of service comes through. Is it rooted in that time with your mom in the subsequent years?
I knew I was going to raise children that they had to be whole and healthy adults. So protecting the vulnerable. They shouldn't have to experience the discrimination I felt as a Black woman. So helping people of color and minorities, the people who are overlooked. I know what it feels like to have despair and to feel like something is inherently wrong with you because of your circumstances. So it's something that drives me to do more because I'm afraid that the next generation won't be better than my generation.
Assemblywoman, would you share with us about the beauty and the diversity in your district?
Oh gosh, I have a beautiful district. I feel just privileged to be able to call this district mine to represent. I mean, we have the Delta Waterways, the strategic water supply for the entire state. We have state protected lands that I get to go walk to on a daily basis. In Solano County in particular, 62% of it is agriculture and open space. That is huge. Great environment to raise a family in, to live in. Really, there is not a place you can go to in our district where you won't see natural beauty.
And part of the reason that it's great to raise a family here, I assume, is because of the robust diversity?
No matter how you slice a neighborhood in my district, you are going to get what I call the UN, where you have people of all different race and ethnic backgrounds, all different stripes and colors, so they say. The fact that we can live in such a beautiful space and experience such harmony and unity where everyone is celebrated, not tolerated, I love it. And I'm so thankful that I get to serve in an area that is not only beautiful, but really have a diverse representation of people. I rise today to present ACA 8, a measure that would allow voters to once and for all ban slavery and involuntary servitude without exception in our state.
You were stationed with your husband at Travis Air Force Base.
My husband was stationed at Travis Air Force Base, now retired. My son is a Marine veteran. So we have this aspect of our lives that's very much rooted in the protection of people. So it does remind me how fragile our democracy is and how important that we have honor and integrity that's worthy of the people that are fighting for us to be able to argue about policy.
Would you just talk about your philosophy when it comes to transportation policy and what you see as the committee's agenda in the near future?
Think about the hierarchy needs, housing is there. Once I get you shelter, transportation is everything else. It's how you move in and around a community, how you navigate to get to an education center. Transportation is everything else. And when I say transportation system, I'm talking about infrastructure, as it means roads, all the way to transit. That means we're going to have high-speed rail, but that is extremely important to be able to connect our south to the north completely, to be able to open up our full economy to no matter where you live in the state.
Can you talk about the value of workers in transportation and how you see that as the chair of the committee?
It is the workers, not the employers, that drive the economy. And we get it backwards sometimes. And the worker is going to take those resources and invest in their local community, and then starts that whole circular nature of our economy. Because if we're consistently funding our projects and there's some stability and pipeline of work, then you have people staying in California, right? And being able to work near their home because they can see a pipeline of infrastructure projects near their home. When we're thinking about how we fund infrastructure projects throughout the state, it starts with the worker. And the worker is going to take those resources and invest in their local community, which then makes it go around. And then when you recognize that a worker is actually building the project that they paid for.
What are the challenges of transitioning to a green economy or a zero emissions future?
We still need infrastructure. We still need infrastructure. In a zero emission vehicle, it is still a vehicle that needs a road. We still need to build the infrastructure in the state of California. And so we need an infrastructure that not only works for California, but works to connect to our neighboring states and the rest of our nation, because we are a part of that nation. How do we innovate without leaving folks behind? And we're finally at that point where some of the innovation feels like we're gonna leave some people behind, but recognize that is to our absolute detriment. So I think it'll be interesting how we navigate these next few years. I think is really going to depend on how we survive as people.
Assemblywoman, thank you so much for your time today. Thanks for sharing your thoughts and your vision and your background and your values. It's been really lovely. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was a good conversation.